Hello, listeners. Welcome to the fourth and the final episode of Masters Decoded on Crisis Management Framework. I am Anis Merchant, the Chief Decoder. To help me, I had invited Gregory Shepard to help analyze and share how his BOSS framework can be applied to the crisis management within an organization. To recap the five stages of the BOSS framework: first stage, define your North Star. Second, aligning your strategy to the North Star. Third, execution on your strategy. Fourth stage, setting up standards and normalizing your execution. And the last stage, adopting a closed loop process to keep enhancing your organization with Kaizen. Today, I would alone talk about a few other essential things which are critical during the crisis as a leader. The first critical aspect of managing the crisis is to take a step back rather than control or deep dive into it. As Greg had covered together, don't enter the war and get caught up in the fog of war. When you're daunted with the crisis, you get caught up and miss the more significant point and start making decisions that would be harmful to you and others around you. The second aspect of managing crisis is that it is going to be a highly emotional journey. Practicing mindfulness techniques would enable you to manage your emotional state and also the people around you. Within your organization and your near and dear ones, different phases of emotions would require your support and leadership to help them navigate different situations. In addition to the folks around you, yourself would need to ensure you don't curb your emotions, but at the same time, able to manage them to drive better outcomes. Third, there are going to be situations or decisions that would not conform to reasonable conditions. Trust as a factor would be critical for decisions and steering the company and the individuals around you. Trust cannot be formed in a single day, and Rome wasn't built in a single day. Trust is a continuous process and needs to work upon every second, minute, hour, and day. Trust is equal to genuinity in your approach, and action should align with your words. When you show up as yourself and not somebody else, or try to portray something which you want. Number four, recently I came across a very novel concept of energy vampires. Energy vampires are people who, sometimes intentionally, drain your emotional energy. They feed on your willingness to listen and care for them, leaving you exhausted and overwhelmed. Energy vampires can be anywhere and anyone. There can be your spouse or your best friend. They can be your cubicle mate or your neighbor. Learning how to identify and respond to this toxic behavior can help you preserve your energy and protect yourself from a great deal of emotional and physical distress. Some people refuse to accept responsibility for their emotional maturity, and that is indeed a burden to bear. It is best to accept the change and situations it brings to make it as a go forward in a changing scenario. And number four, resisting it, fighting it, or not accepting it would keep you imbalanced and unable to take a step forward. To be in control and drive the change needed is critical in the crisis. If you aren't, then change can quickly drive you down. Number five, attitude matters and demonstrates your ability to lead. Having a winning attitude further validates why you are the right person to have individuals around you to trust and work with to drive the change more considerably, which is needed. Winning attitude ensures you don't lose focus from your North Star and can steer the organization in its right direction. And to sum it up, I want to thank you once again for staying with Greg and me over the last 4 weeks on this journey to reveal the crisis management framework. I hope you are able to apply it and be successful and survive as well as thrive in the current pandemic. Stay safe and be humble. Thank you for listening in. And we close yet another episode of Masters Decoded. If you've enjoyed the episode, please you can help us out by sharing it on social media. I would personally appreciate that. It's how we can reach more listeners, and the more listeners we have, the more awesome guests I can get in touch and convince to participate in these conversations that are a joy to have for me, and I hope they are a joy for you to listen as well. You can also help a lot leaving reviews on iTunes or your podcast service of choice. Reviews are surprisingly helpful in supporting the podcast to get to more listeners. If this episode has intrigued you, I would request you to subscribe to the podcast to stay up to date and get notified to the future episodes. With that, I bid you and see you in the next episode.